going to have a look at a pen by Franklin-Christoph. I've reviewed Franklin-Christophs before, but this is another one. And this is the Model 20 Marietta. And it has a very nice black and red finish, which I kind of like. I borrowed this pen from Eric, so I don't have the box here. He's just visiting. I don't have anything of that here. But I thought I'd just give it a quick shot because I don't think I've reviewed a Model 20 before. So I'm going to cover the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Let's start. Getting older. Let's start at the very top of the pen, the finial. There is the Franklin-Christoph logo, their monogram. I have to do that in such a way that it catches the light a bit, but there you can kind of see it. I like that. Simple. You have two rings there, and then we have the cap. You can see the material. It's very dark, but it does have some red in it, and it reminds me a bit of vintage sort of mottled red hard rubber, or I should probably say black hard rubber, and you sometimes have a sort of mottled finish which kind of looks like this. So there is red in it, but it's very, very dark red. Okay, then we have the bottom there. You have two more rings and then a bottom, and of course interesting is this little slanted, the flat top with a little slanted angle there. This Franklin-Christoph is interesting, not only because of its size, nice, decent size, but also because it has a slip cap. And every other Franklin-Christoph I've ever used has threads, and they put the threads at the top of the section, so you don't really feel them when you're writing. Music nib. This is the specialty music nib that Franklin-Christoph offers, 1.9 millimeters. Very wide. That's an extra option, so it costs extra to get that, but that's what's on here right now. They have the section, tapers down, flares out, and it's very flat there. It should also be pointed out, so there's a little rib there. It should be pointed out that in this case the nib, it is a number 6 nib, but it actually sits quite deeply in the section, so there's quite a deep seat, and you can see that a little bit there. There's quite a gap in there, so that's that. As I think every Franklin-Christoph pen, cartridge converter, but you can eyedropper this. You can fill the entire barrel, and then you have a very nice ink capacity. As the size, it's not a giant pen, but I find this quite comfortable, and if you really desire to do so, you can post it quite comfortably. This is the clipless model. There was also a version with a clip. Comfy, nice, pleasant to hold. So they have it. What do I like about it, and what do I not like about it? I also have, where's the ink? Ah, there's the ink. Ink all over my hands. That's okay. Someone throws a tissue and it misses. That's all right. Try it again. Oh yeah, look right there. Thank you. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? I like Franklin-Christoph. I think the pens they make are very nice. More than once in. Sorry, didn't mean to hit you in the face. Nice pens, nice models. They look nice. They're well made. I am yet to see a Franklin-Christoph that I think is poorly made. A lot of attention to detail. Everything is well polished. No sharp edges. My experience with the company is very good. I like the minimalist packaging. I can't really show it to you, but it's nice. There's little leather pouches and all. It's all very, very nicely put together. In this case, I really like the material. It's from a distance, it's almost black, but it's only when you get up close that you start to see that there's more to it than that, and there's actually some color in the finish. So I like that. It's comfortable. I have no issues with the section. This actually says I missed that because but it's engraved in the cap. It does say Franklin-Christoph 20, so the model number is on there. I think it's a comfortable pen. I like using this. The problem with a clipless version, of course, is that it rolls, so you have to be careful on a desk. But clearly, if that's an issue, you can get the clipped version. What do I not like about it? Well, I think it's a decent pen. It works. You get a you pay about $175 for this, which is by no means cheap. But then again, you get a pen that you can use as an eyedropper filled pen. It means you get a large ink capacity, which is convenient for some people. There's quite a range of nib options. This music nib is not for everyone, it's very broad. But you can also, of course, get regular round nibs, and you can get Mike Masayama custom ground nibs, which is also nice. That Nibmeister will turn your nib into something that you like a cursive italic or something. That is an extra service, so it also costs extra, but I don't think that's unreasonable. You pay, if you go to a pen show or you send a pen off to a Nibmeister, you'll also pay for his or her services. I think mainly his. I don't think I know a nib mistress, but so I don't think it's there's anything wrong with that. I think the price, it may be a bit high, but I think it's justifiable for what you get. Now, there's two issues I have with the pen that I don't like so much. First of all, the slip cap is nice, but there's no rubber or anything that I see in this to kind of make it snap shut. There's nothing I see in there like little clamps or anything, so it's literally friction fit. And I wonder if this cap is going to crack at some point. I have no reason to believe it will, but I wonder. There's no center band or anything. But my biggest issue with this is that I am so used to Franklin-Christoph's unscrewing that I start to unscrew and you just unscrew the barrel. And if you have eyedrop at this, that would be a serious problem. And of course you can tell people not to do that if you hand the pen to a stranger, but the capping is, I'm not saying it's not smooth, but it definitely requires some force to take off, and I can foresee that you might give this to someone who thinks, oh, clearly not a snap cap, so let's unscrew this with all consequences thereof. So for me, that's a bit of an issue. I don't like this capping mechanism that much. My second problem is the very deep groove, the deep seat of the nib, which I'll try to show you again. That's really deep. If I look at this, that looks like it's probably about 3 millimeters. And that's a fairly deep groove, and that means that if you want to fill this from an ink bottle, I assume you typically dip in the section in the ink bottle and you draw up ink. There's going to be a lot of ink in that groove. It just collects there. Of course, you can just take out the converter, put that in the ink bottle and fill that, but then the feed isn't primed, and that's not necessarily the most convenient way to do that. So that I don't fully understand. Now, I suppose what you could do is just not screw in the nib so far. It is possible to put it in a little bit less far, but of course then you also get issues with the whole unit being very loose. So for safety, you probably should screw it in all the way. I also don't know if you get leakage otherwise if you have converted to eyedropper, because the nib collar isn't in there very securely. Having said all of that, I think it's a nice pen. I like it. I like the model. I like the looks. I think Franklin-Christoph did a very nice job in designing this. If you're in the market for a pen like this, not too large, but nice, carryable, this is definitely something to consider, and you definitely get an interesting finish. So, I hope that was useful. As always, measurements, dimensions of the pen, weight, etc., as well as high-resolution pictures will be on the website, sbrebrown.com. We're going to do a writing sample coming up right now, and I'm glad to see you later. Throughout this review, my fingers got inkier and inkier. It's the way it is. Bye! Okay, so here we go with the Franklin-Christoph Model 20. The nib is the 1.9 millimeter Christoph music nib. I always want to say Franklin, but it is Christoph. And the ink is Yard OLED Claret. It is discontinued as far as I can tell, so giant pity, because it's one of my favorite inks. Very, very nice. Now let's do some writing. This is a large nib, so you really have to have fairly large handwriting to make this work. And if it's smaller, then, I mean, if you have microscopic handwriting like this, Hello, old reprobates. And you see that your handwriting becomes pretty much illegible. So don't get this if you write microscopically. It won't work. Fast writing. I wasn't even going for legibility here, it's barely even writing, but what I'm trying to show off is it's a very broad nib and it doesn't skip. The ink flow is extremely consistent. Big props to Franklin-Christoph for getting this right, because a nib that requires so much ink and has such a rich flow, it's very impressive. Wetness, obviously no complaints there. Yeah, line variation, of course you can squeeze out a little bit, but you don't really need to because there is a lot of natural line variation anyway. So, of course, one of the more interesting things you can do with an italic nib like this is do some calligraphic stuff. And I'm going fairly quickly here because I don't want to bore you to death. But also need to mind my angle a bit more. But I don't think anyone has this as everyday handwriting. I hope not, because then you were born in the wrong age. But nevertheless, you can do this. It's definitely broad enough to do calligraphic stuff, which I think is very, very nice. Reverse writing, of course, doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have a very broad italic, so it's going to be the same thing when you turn it around. It's not round tipping. And there you have it. So, I hope this was useful. For once, my poor unseal that I use for the end things may actually work, because now we have the correct nib to do it with. I'm doing it very quickly, so it's really poor calligraphy, but even so, I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later.